We are on site today at Vertiport, Chicago. Little change of pace from what we're used to, but we're going to be having a conversation with their executive director, Danny, someone who I've known for a couple of years now. We're going to be talking everything from how this place operates to what goes into running a helipad, some of the different partnerships, collaborations that they have here at Vertiport Chicago, and just what overall makes them special. So we've been trying to make this happen for quite some time. As you can see, there's no better backdrop to do it. There's going to be helicopters flying in and out of this shot when we're filming, but really excited and glad we're able to bring this to you guys and do something a little bit special. Link Live, we're back, we're rolling. Again, bringing you to another offsite location, very special location today, but we're joined by none other than Danny Mojica, Executive Director here at Vertiport Chicago. Danny, thank you so much for being with us, sharing the space.
Me, man? This is great. We appreciate you guys making time, learning more about us, and you guys are hot. Everyone I like and I appreciate and I actually follow. One thing's this, if it's a common denominator, it's Link Creative. So
thank you.
We appreciate you making time to be here.
That means a lot. Well, our relationship probably started about a year or two now.
Yeah.
You've taken care of myself and my team a lot. We always enjoy coming here. The whole goal of this conversation, though, I want more people to know where we are, what goes on here, what goes into this place.
Yeah.
Because it really is the hidden gem of Chicago, some may say. But there's a lot of serious stuff that goes on. As you can see, we're not in our usual setting, but we're going to dive, into everything. I want to talk about, though, there's a reason, right? I wanted to interview yourself. You're a charismatic guy.
Thank you.
You've always made us feel special and welcome, and that goes a long way. But I want to get a better understanding. Who is Danny? How is Danny raised? Where did this all kind of start for you?
Yeah.
What do you remember from your childhood being very significant?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind was growing up, I always wanted to be Bruce Wayne. And it's I'm not Bruce Wayne, but the fact that I have access to things that Bruce Wayne does is just God sent. It's a blessing. It certainly didn't come easy, and I think everything that I used to hate growing up, I used to be really, really angry or sad. I don't know what the word is, but I always ask, why did we grow up with, poor, no money? But it was that, in my opinion, it was that frustration and that circumstance in my life that allowed me to appreciate the smaller things. And then I evolved into being able to earn nicer things. But in a high level, that's really it,
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you grow up in Chicagoland area, right?
I basically grew up in Illinois, Chicago most of my life. I'm actually, most of my time was spent in Cicero, Illinois. Very well known for Al Capone. And, but I was actually born in Mexico. I came here when I was a young boy. And I'm very thankful my parents made that decision. And it's been a very difficult transition because, when I reflect on it, all the times growing up, I wanted to be part of the cool kids. I was never on the cool kids table. I wanted to be a part of, social butterfly. I was never really accepted. And then as I grew and I learned how to talk to people and I became more social, less introverted, I was able to sit in social groups. But the difficult part was when those social groups would invite me to go out and do fun things. Some things always did not allow me to do that, or curfew, whatever it was. And I'm thankful for that because, God forbid, if I would have gone out and done something stupid, fast forward to 2019, since being a little kid, 5 years old, being able to sit in front of an immigration lawyer, immigration agents, and showing them a clean record, showing them okay grades, but then showing them letters from executives who vouch for me, like, this kid is all right, he should get his citizenship. Keeping my nose clean, not getting arrested, not even a parking ticket. I earned my citizenship, and that's why I'm proud to say I'm an American.
That's awesome.
And you know, I know that topic's a little sensitive right now, but when people tell me certain things, I tell them actually I am one of those people. I know exactly what it is, and this is the land of opportunity, right? And that's kind of how I came into this place, actually.
Yeah. Well, I definitely want to get to how you kind of got immersed within Vertiport and how those opportunities started to stack up for you. Do you remember there being like a certain inflection point or a reason when Danny went more from the extrovert and transpired into this, introvert to extrovert in that case?
I would say it was probably a sense of always wanting to belong and having an awkward way of going about it in the beginning.
Sure.
And luckily, through time, I evolved, and I was more comfortable being able to speak to strangers. I would say it started with going up to girls and asking them to be my date. And then it evolved into going up to business owners or business people and then asking them to be my mentor.
Yeah.
And having the same butterflies that I would with with anyone else.
As you guys can tell, obviously this isn't pre-recorded, so you're going to catch some extra audio. But I think these mics will pick us up well still. Well, no, that makes sense. What were some of the what was Danny interested in growing up? Sports?
Yeah. Well,
what did that look like?
I think what helped was actually sports. I played rugby in high school and a little bit in college. But I would say what really took me out of that next level of comfort being social was I used to paint graffiti.
Really?
I used to paint graffiti with some serious people. Some of these people, their artwork is now in museums, airports. And it's crazy to know that I was taught by some of the greatest in the world. You know, and looking back, I'm sure I was disappointing because I wouldn't go out and do the illegal stuff. Because, again, I couldn't get into trouble. I had to get my citizenship. And
what age did you get citizenship?
It was 2019, so it's just was that? Right. So right before the pandemic, and but I had to be
straight arrow
for 20-some years, right? So it's not easy. But I would say those are some of the things that helped evolve me as a person. To be okay with pain, rugby, to be okay with rejection when I would go do art and people would be like, oh, it's whack. But then to later on be recognized by some of the greatest in the world, which is incredible.
That's awesome. What were you doing work-wise, career-wise? What did you think you were going to do maybe mid-teens, early 20s before you landed here?
So that's one of my lessons in life was I was working for a private art firm and the owners were graffiti artists. And I remember one day being in their lobby and I think I was working on homework. I was in high school. I had to be at least 15 years old. And there was maybe 6 or 7 people that came by to look at art. And I was able to listen into some of those conversations. And I remember seeing 2 things stuck out. Almost everyone wanted a discount. But the one group that didn't ask for a discount, they were high-end clients working for a high-end firm. And I think if the artwork wasn't priced at where it's at, I couldn't remember what it's, maybe it was $20,000 or something. They probably would have not bought it if it was too cheap.
Right.
So that opened the light bulb, and I'm like, wow. Like, because I'm seeing these artists, like, work 20 hours a day doing art, painting, side jobs to pay the bills and everything, pay me, right? And then to see that, I'm like, okay, how do I get more clients like that? I found out that was a high net worth industry. So that is kind of how God showed me a little bit of, like, which direction I could take with my life.
So that you developed that footing working for the art gallery. I feel like everybody that I talk to, and I can relate to this myself, they have that one experience that opens their eyes to potentially what's possible, a different network worth of people.
Yeah.
And then that is when they have to make the decision, okay, this is something that is more of my path or not. So
exactly.
Sounds like that happened for you. Okay, then fast forward a little bit. How long was it from that until you landing here?
So I was 15 years old. yeah, that had to be 2008, 7-ish, maybe, if I remember right. You fast forward to 2015, I was on my way. The pink line is actually right next to the vertiport here. And I had just lost all my money in one of my first businesses. I put a bunch of money into having a small little office, paying for all the services you could think of. And that business was really teaching people about retirement, teaching people about annuities and saving for college for their kids. But a lot of people were hesitant. Like, how am I going to trust my life savings with this, 20, 21-year-old kid who is just learning about life? So a lot of customers would meet with me, but they would not actually go forward. Yeah. So my cash just depleted after not
Where did you get the
sales.
idea to do that, by the way? What inspired you to start that?
So that inspired me. One of my first office jobs was in Oak Brook by a former executive from a big company who opened up his own financial and tax shop. And he really taught me my parents taught me about work ethic. But work ethic as blue collar. When I understood work ethic as like an office person, I mean, we were at the health club at 5:30, 6 a.m. By 6:30, we're in the steam room planning the day, talking about our meetings. We're already making coffee in the office across the street. From the health club, our office was across the street. And we're already starting our day like early. Everyone else would come in at 9, and we wouldn't leave till 7 or 8 p.m. on an early day. But then he showed me that he had season tickets to the Cubs. We would fly out. We would meet clients all over the country. And that really allowed me to learn, like, okay, high net worth clients is what I got to find my way in, understanding how to create a life for myself that allows me to live differently than what I grew up with, right? So that's kind of how that came about.
Awesome. Great. So when you start this business, you notice maybe you didn't have the correct foundation or footing to keep it going.
Right.
What were a couple of the main things, though, that you think is the reason you weren't able to keep it alive?
It was my ego, man. It was my ego. This is around the time Instagram started. Back in the day, long time ago, I used to do like #blessed meetings, and I don't think I was doing it to inspire people. I think I was doing it to show off all those people who like caused me harm, who were very mean to me, maybe in high school or college. I really do think it was that, and I think my ego was really high, and I believe it was God taking it all out of me and telling me to start over. So that's exactly what happened. I am in college. I'm at Northwestern at this time. It's 2015. I had to start over as a janitor downtown. So now I'm cleaning, right? I went from having a Mercedes Brabus, living near Lakeshore Drive, to cleaning, taking the pink line, which is fine. And seeing the vertiport from the train, I'm like, what is this place? So I Google it. I find out there's an event here the next week. I show up. And I just kept showing up for maybe almost a year, not getting paid, helping clean, answer phones. They couldn't get rid of me. And I was studying business and leadership at Northwestern. And when I would come here, I would see the CEO. His name was Mr. Ponarelli, and terrific gentleman, terrific, outstanding man. I mean, everything that they would teach me at Northwestern, and they would show us Harvard case studies, I would come here and see it in person from this guy. And it was just amazing. And I would pray, and I'm like, thank God I'm learning. And then one day he's like, hey, you can't seem to get rid of you. Let's just put you on the payroll. I'm starting this new helicopter tour airline to do tours. Like, why don't you help me run it? So
that at this time, this is pre-Fly Heli. This is pre-DS Luxury.
Yeah, Vertiport had its own airline JV with helicopter operator, and we did our own tours back in the day.
Wow. So for those that don't understand still, explain at a baseline level what Vertiport was then. Yeah. And then we're going to get into what it is now.
Yeah,
but
yeah. So I would say Vertiport, back in 2000 and in the early 2000s, there used to be a private airport here in the city of Chicago. Well, a lot of private aviation would come to this airport. It's Meigs Field. It went away. So our founders found that, okay, there's a lot of business travelers who are landing in their jets, and now they have to land all the way in these suburbs. And I think there's still construction going on from back in the day going on now. So their vision was, okay, let's build infrastructure that helps air transports back, connect the suburbs with the city, so on and so forth. And really what it ended up taking shape was, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of hospitals on your way in. We're actually in the Illinois Medical District, which is one of the most outstanding, forward-thinking medical districts in the whole world. And we're blessed to be here. So what turned to shape was, now anytime there's an organ, a patient, a child, a baby that comes in or out of a medical helicopter, what Vertiport does is we provide certified staff 24 hours a day, 365, to help with those types of missions. We're a private company, and we're not a not-for-profit, and we don't charge for these services. We still have to pay property taxes. We still have to pay bills. So, to offset it, we depend on our other sources of revenue to keep doing the life-saving missions.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know you guys do that pro bono pretty much.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Which is why I'm happy you're here, because that's, people who have been here don't realize that, and that's one of the missions we talked about amongst our team is we have to put that out there. Like, people have to know this because it's so important, not just to the Illinois Medical District, but to the city, to the Midwest. I mean, there's patients that come here from Madison, from Peoria, from all over the Midwest, Michigan, right? Because we have some of the best doctors and the best hospitals here. So this infrastructure is really critical, very critical. And a lot of people don't understand that. So I'm very thankful you're here so we can explain that.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
What are the other sort of Chicago-based institutions, organizations that utilize the facility? I know maybe the Chicago PD. I just saw one of their helicopters taking off when we were pulling in.
Yeah. They
Talk
just
to us
landed.
about any of those other partnerships as well.
So look, we made it very clear. We're open for everybody. As long as it's private airports, as long as there's prior acknowledgement that they're coming, we make a reservation, we make sure we take care of them. But anywhere from Coast Guard, military, there's been some trainings going around the city. We welcome them. We help them. We literally help keep Chicago safe. Homeland Security, when there's big situations going on, we're accommodating to them. Anything life savings, absolutely. That's why we're here.
Yeah. Talk to the audience for a second. We were here around, I think it was either day before, I think of 4th of July this past summer.
Yeah.
And there were some Black Hawk helicopters here, some guys from the military. Talk to the audience about like how those guys operate when they come in. Obviously, they're very militant, but like, what are sort of their expectations and how do they operate when they're doing their training?
It's quite beautiful. Our team, our fuel and our business development team have been doing such a great job at really planning ahead and really, again, explaining our mission, right, and our message about why we exist, to the point that it's now gotten into military Facebook groups, the Twitter X, and people are now purposely planning their cross-country flights with these military aircraft from all types of different bases. And what we say is, hey, come to Chicago, land here. We'll buy you guys some pizza. Welcome to Chicago, and it just helps us buy some fuel. When they buy fuel, they help us continue the life-saving mission. So really, that's been why we've been seeing more activity that way, because they understand why we're here. They love seeing quote-unquote mom-and-pop shops. They prefer to support those, and that's what they do here.
Yeah, it's really full cycle, it seems like.
Yeah.
And then, like you mentioned, there's obviously a big business presence, executive presence.
Yeah.
Talk to us about some of the individuals that we would maybe recognize that have come through just in like an entrepreneurial business setting maybe. Is there anything that sticks out to you?
I would say tail rotor is really loud. So I would say with business users, it's been quite outstanding. I give it to Adrian from our business development team and the rest of the team who's helping Adrian and us, but really educating folks, right? Most of the time we are dealing with the executive assistants of Fortune 500 CEOs, and we love the fact that whenever they need to, we sell time. That's what we do. We sell time. So when CEOs from New York land, I can't say who, but when CEOs from New York land and they land their jet in Midway, for example, they'll pay for a 4-minute helicopter ride into the city, land here. But they don't just pay for that flight because they save time. They also love our ability to go above and beyond the heliport and serve. We have relationships with some of the best hotels in the city. We have relationships with some of the best ground transportation companies, including Diaz Luxury. We have a Dawn Rolls-Royce right behind us, right? We help these executive assistants or these event planners or these group experience engineers. We help them by doing their work.
Yeah.
And that's why they keep coming back. And then when we tell them, hey, we might be a little bit more expensive because we have to add a life-saving infrastructure fee, but then they get it.
Yeah.
Oh. And sometimes when their boss is like, okay, but we can save a little money going this way. Yeah, but they're not really responding right away. My teammate Adrian responds right away. I mean, we got people we're a 24-hour facility. We get calls. I've stepped out of weddings to help a client, right? And I think we've developed a really great brand because of that, and now people are referring us business.
100%.
A funny story is I think the first time I was, what's that called when you see a celebrity and you freeze?
Starstruck?
Starstruck.
Yeah.
I'm walking through the FBO building where I greeted you, and I see Mark Wahlberg.
Wow.
Changing from his golf outfit into his Timberlands. And I'm like, we have a locker room. That's all I could say, and I walked away. That's from funny. Them to the Chainsmokers to Stevie Wonder. I mean, we've seen a lot of outstanding people here. We're very blessed to be.
So those guys are typically taking a helicopter to a local airport.
Yeah, whether it's air transportation or another way we do to bring in revenues, this hangar here, we convert it into an event space. So we get everything out, and people come in here and throw a big event here. Sometimes, like Stevie Wonder, he was a performer, right?
Wow.
So, again, it's thinking outside the box and leveraging this amazing infrastructure to add value, but more importantly, to bring in revenue to continue doing the life-saving missions.
Right.
Yeah.
I was going to mention as well, what's the longest distance you guys could do a taxi in a helicopter?
We've done them across state lines. Think about it as a car. You just have to stop and refuel.
Yeah.
So the helicopters do the same. You could go across the country, coast to coast. For the most part, though, we educate our customers and we say, look, depending on the aircraft that you're interested in, we have some aircraft that are bigger. Think of Uber. You got the Prius and then you got the big Suburban, right? Black service. Same thing with helicopters. We have the smaller 2-3-seaters all the way to the 6-passenger large twin-engine aircraft. And we tell them, we're very honest, right? That's how we get customers to come back. We say, for this request that you have, after 200, 250 miles, it makes more sense to take a plane.
Right.
Because the economics of a helicopter just become a little bit more expensive. Unless they want to land in a non-airstrip where they need to land at a farm or at a summer home or resorts, then they'll pay the extra money and they keep going on a helicopter. But we'd like to give them the option that we can price out a plane for them too. We have the ability to quote jets as well. So that's another benefit to us,
Yeah, really versatile in that case. I mean, talking about versatility as well and moving forward and the growth you guys have, I know we're talking about it off camera a little bit. You guys are going to be, I believe, the first facility to host a new air taxis, so the airports as well.
Yeah, well, a lot of facilities do air taxis now.
Yeah.
I think what's special about our place here is we're already doing air taxi, but we're doing it with helicopters. What's innovative is we're one of 2 vertiports in the whole country right now, and there's studies showing that they're planning on building a few thousand in the next 10, 15 years. Now, why? There's, similar to the car industry, you noticed a spike in manufacturers building combustion engine vehicles and pivoting into EV, electric. Well, the same thing is happening in the aviation side. And although a lot of these are prototypes, they're not commercially approved just yet. People say that within the next couple of years, they may be, they're almost there. Great, so the aircraft's built. Where do they land? Well, they land in places called vertiports. And given the fact that we're ahead of the forefront, we've made early announcements a little bit over a year ago with Governor Pritzker, United Airlines, and Archer Aviation. That once everything's certified and approved, we would do a route from O'Hare to here out of Vertiport, Chicago, which is so exciting. And to give you a little clarity, right? With a smaller helicopter, the pricing could be anywhere from $2,500 plus for one flight. It could take us 13 to 16 minutes. With these electric aircraft, the manufacturers are stating, the pricing could be similar to an Uber Black, couple $100 per person. It's still a little bit expensive, but it's a lot more financially digestible than a couple grand.
It's convenient for
Right.
sure.
So think of conventions, think of tourism, right? Now think of big hospital campuses where maybe a doctor has to go from one end of the campus and then perform last-minute surgery at the other end. Every second counts. So having aircraft to take people in short distances changes the game.
Yeah. Wow, it's remarkable. I mean, I think another thing that stands out to me as well, right, we were talking about how Vertiport went from just doing the taxis. You guys absorbed all these different collaborations and partnerships as time's gone on. We're obviously sitting in front of some pretty beautiful cars right now. I want you to speak a little bit about how relationships like DS Luxury came about. How those were sort of founded, and other things like you guys are hosting some of the most major fashion shows in Chicago.
Shout out to John.
Some major concerts and events like house calls.
Yeah.
These are things that are bringing an extreme brand audience and recognition of what you guys are doing. So I wanted to just learn a little bit more about like what goes into those deals, what goes into those partnerships, and how you guys are able to execute those things.
Yeah, I would say, man, it starts with, I have an amazing founders group, amazing founders of the Vertiport and board of directors. They're all titans in their own industry. They're all amazing, forward-thinking individuals. And it all started with their trust in me, and from that, I've been leading the company for just a few years now. I haven't been the main person here since the beginning. But since I've been leading the organization, man, what started is my conversations with God. Okay, God, you brought me here. Like, what do I do next, right? And then it's beautiful how conversations at night through prayer, and then I wake up to an email that leads into the next thing, that maybe leads to a DM, that maybe, I have teammates who have been in part of the industry, different industries. They bring their friends over, introduce them, show them. It's been a lot of seed planting that took place years ago that through time, these events happen. You mentioned house calls, outstanding group, right? They're going to have an amazing event this weekend, I hear.
Dissect that one a little bit. How did that come to be?
Well, it was, I don't exactly remember who introduced who, but I would say I give a lot of credit to my teammate Adrian to push through those conversations and basically, stay in touch with them. I would say he's really owned that relationship, and I'm very blessed to have him in my team because that allows me to focus on other things like the air taxis, the drones, cargo,
right,
things that are around the future, right? So again, it's been a team effort. So I would give a lot of credit to Adrian on that one. DS Luxury CEO Mickey. I mean, he started with 2 cars. I remember when he first showed up here back in 2007, 8 maybe. I'm sorry, 17 or 18. And he's had at least 5, 6 competitors show up throughout the past, 8, 9 years. And, there are, I think almost none of them are still in business. He's been able to figure it out, keep his head cool, grow. He's now in, I think, 4 major cities. They're looking at expansion in the Middle East. There's some serious people very interested in him. There's people lining up to invest in him. And, he's taking his time. He's not rushing it. I'm very proud of his pivot. He's got a membership program now. A lot of their members call us for jets and helicopters. We love it. They book their birthday parties here in the hangar. So it's just a beautiful luxury ecosystem that we've been able to build and maintain.
I was going to say, for sure with DS Luxury and what you guys have going on, there is a ton of synergy that just works. It's almost expected. Like when you pull up, like you better see 20 exotics. But yeah, I mean, all of that stuff has been really great to see happening. And I think it's awesome that this is here for people. To take it a step further as well, right? We're talking about, all right, you got brought to Vertiport, answering phones, maybe cleaning up a little bit, then put on payroll. There's obviously a few extra steps that had to happen along the way for you now to be in this executive director role. I want to get into like what goes into running that. But before, what were some of the major benchmarks and checkpoints that happened along the way that allowed you to earn your stripes, climb up the ladder a bit, and then kind of gain the confidence for who you are now and what you're doing?
I would say the first thing was, you know, I talked about when I lost my first business, right? And I had to start over. That was the moment. I've always been brought up around church. I've always been taken to church as a kid. I always was around it. But I don't think I ever really understood it. I never really took it serious. But when I lost everything, I purposely went out of my way to find someone to help me accept God, Jesus Christ, into my life. And that's how some of these blessings started opening up. I got a job here, so on and so forth. And then, you know, through that, before I became an executive here, I found out very quickly I was very good at understanding the work environment, understanding people's frustrations, recording and receiving what people are saying, transcribing it and translating it into a language that the leadership here understood.
Right.
And there was many times where people made mistakes, but I owned up to them because they were, technically, I'm overseeing them. So I feel that when I owned up to other people's mistakes and when I owned up to my own mistakes and I accepted failure and used it to move forward, I feel that these, Mr. Ponarelli, who unfortunately passed away, he's no longer with us. I feel that when he passed away, it was very clear that he spoke very highly of me to the rest of the owners and the rest of the leadership here. And that's when they approached and said, hey, you know, like, we've heard about you. Let's see what you can do.
Nice.
And now we're rocking and rolling. We're moving forward. We took the business, cash positive. And there's people knocking on our doors from all over the world right now. They want to learn, how do we build a place? How are we running it? They want to have air taxis in their locations. How can they learn from us? So we're starting to see and identify potential new revenue for us. So it's very exciting.
I was going to say, is there a possibility for you guys to extend into other markets and start to establish a footprint for what you guys have done here elsewhere?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're very aware of that. We're very aware that we're at the forefront.
Right.
But we also don't want to let our ego get too high. And we want to make sure that we continue making Vertiport Chicago the gold standard, right? And that's through everyday innovation. My safety team, my teammate Orlando is an outstanding example of that. He started selling helicopter tours now. He's training everybody. He's going at different seminars. He's going to different seminars all over the country.
Nice.
Applying these new aviation safety procedures, applying them here. I mean, it's beautiful to see how what we used to call employees are now leaders here in our company, and I'm very proud to be the leader of it.
During those points of maybe question or struggle and challenge, what do you think are the main factors or attributors that were able to kind of get you guys over that hump when you were maybe cash flow negative, trying to figure out some of the real estate aspect of what's going on here, to then getting over that hump and becoming positive?
I would say we had to attack every single front, from from financial to labor to training, everything. We had to really reshape our mindset and our vision. And I think what also helped with that was how we hired people. When we sit down and people are interested in working with us, I'm very transparent.
Right.
I'm telling them, like, if you're not bumping heads with your teammates, in the sense for improving operations and improving efficiencies, not to make anyone feel less, not to make anyone feel stupid, quite the opposite, right? If I come up with a plan for something, I'm going to bring it to you. I want you to poke holes through it. Because only then did we all together come up with a way to look at different dimensions of the situation. And that's how we're also all able to take credit, right? And the most beautiful part is when people do leave the Vertiport and go to a new venture, when I see them, when I run into them, and they, just the way they hug me, the way they say thank you like at least 12 times. Maybe they didn't say it when they worked here, that many times at least, but you could tell that what we applied here is woven into their DNA as a person now, and they take it with them after they clock out.
That's
so
awesome.
It's beautiful.
That's the difference you want to be making. It's when
Absolutely.
you know, like, things really matter.
Absolutely.
What else in your day-to-day now with this new role? I know you've been kind of running operations here for a while, but what are things people maybe wouldn't expect, right? What are some crazy fires that are always going on? And there's a lot of moving parts here, literally, right?
Yeah.
People are going to be seeing that throughout the episode, but, you know, you have tenants, other partners that work here, the helicopters going on, events. There's a lot of dynamic pieces.
Yes. To be super sincere with you, I think right now we're really focused on always working on our infrastructure, whether it's digital, comms, standard operating procedures. And as the business develops and changes and pivots, understanding because of X, now we have to think of Y and maybe Z. We dissect it, we look at it, we present it, we review it, and then we collect feedback, and then we come up with a new version of how we do things. So definitely we've become more proactive than reactive. We now foresee things that could potentially occur. And again, I can't take credit on it. I think it's really been having those conversations with all my teammates and shaping their mental landscape to understand that, hey, I'm not looking for you to just come in and clock out. I'm looking for you to clock in and clock out, do the things on your to-do list, but also what are those things we're not thinking about? So then when we have our one-on-one weekly meetings, they present these things. And I'm like, aha, like, wow, thank you. I didn't think of this. So now we're foreseeing things 20 steps ahead. It's quite beautiful, honestly. It's quite beautiful. It's so rewarding. It's so refreshing.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it really shows through in the way that you guys are treating your guests and the hospitality you guys have. I can tell everybody, like, moves in the same standard. You guys move in a pack, in a unit, so that's cool to see.
Thank you.
I think we always ask this on every show and episode here, but one thing that's had to have played an integral part in what you guys are building is your brand on social, the content aspect, the people coming to the fashion shows, and if I had to guess, probably borderline thousands of Instagram stories the next day that are going up between reposts and all these other things. But how has digital content, social, really impacted the perception of Vertiport?
I would say it certainly has helped us with awareness. I don't think everyone's fully aware. Like, we talked about our life-saving mission. Yeah. I guarantee you, if we pulled out of a hat the last 10 customers who maybe flew here or have been here, maybe a couple would know that. And that's our goal this year, is to make that our main message. But yes, it's certainly helpful. I really appreciate when I explain this to John Cote. We're mutual friends with him.
Yep.
I'm very thankful because he sat me down and he's like, Danny, I want to help you. And he goes, an event with my guests is going to help you. And till this day, I get people messaging me, when's the next one? Can I come? Can I bring my client, my friend? And those are, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to have those events. So we're very thankful for John and all the partners that are involved with that to make those types of events a reality. But they certainly do help getting exposure out there. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, I could definitely feel that for sure. Like everything else we've been talking about, there's a very large surrounding of growth that's happening. What else do you want people to know about either, your guys' mission, what you're setting out to do this year, or just anything exciting you have coming up?
Yeah, I would say, just to recap, if we do air taxis, so if anybody wants to use a helicopter to go golfing, go to a resort, go to vineyards. Some people do the bar hops. We started introducing wine hops, where we take a helicopter, we fly it over across Lake Michigan, we land across a few different wineries, vineyards in Michigan, helicopter, and then back for dinner. We can set up with a nice suite in one of the 5-star hotels that we work with, and everything in between, from ground transportation and all that. So, again, every activity, every sale helps us, again, save lives. I think that's the most important part. And again, we convert our hangar into an event space. So if somebody wants to celebrate or create a very special proposal, they want to get engaged. We have had some people celebrate their divorces here. So
really?
If somebody wants to do that here, we can make that happen.
Isn't that a popular thing now?
It's a popular thing now. It's I would have never known. That's
funny.
Yeah.
We're going to plug in some B-roll on some short form content, because they really do it all here. Vertiport's very versatile. I want to end with one very special question.
Sure.
Try to get a little piece of advice or reflecting at the end of these conversations. But if you had to tell the 18, maybe 15-year-old version of Danny something with what you know now, what would you say to that kid?
I would probably say, I remember I always looked for inner peace growing up. But there's a difference between inner peace and living every day and every moment and talking to God with every decision, with every thought, and anything that makes me nervous or anxious. I used to try to do it all on my own, but now I know when I include God in those circumstances, it's a whole new level of inner peace that I've never experienced. And it's what allows me to run a multi-million-dollar operation with aircraft, jets, all types of, and on top of that, I have a 2-year-old daughter now. I'm a father.
Beautiful.
And I tell my teammates, whenever we have to make a hard decision, which decision lets us sleep better at night?
Right.
So.
I never heard it put like that. It's good advice. I like that. Making so many high-frequency decisions on a daily basis, right?
Yeah.
I could resonate with that. It's tough. It pulls on you.
I also tell myself, and I took this from my virtual mentor, I don't get ulcers, I give ulcers.
Oh, yeah.
So when I say that to myself, when I feel like I'm going to get one, it works.
I like that.
Yeah.
Give them out, don't take them.
Yeah.
Danny, thank you so much.
No, thank you and your team.
This conversation was for sure an inspiration. I think people are going to get the most out of it. So I'm very happy we were able to do this. Danny, thank you so much. Hey, if you're not planning on it, you better find yourself at Vertiport one time this upcoming spring or summer. So
yeah.
Again, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Link Live episode 7. That's a wrap.